Hi everyone, I've been doing intermittent fasting almost religiously for almost all of 2020. Most days I fast at least 14 to 15 hours, usually quite a bit more, and sometimes an occasional 30 some hour fast. And then when I'm commemorating big events, during 9/11 I fasted the 2,996 minutes, 1 minute for every victim. I'm thinking at the end of 2020, I'm going to do another long fast, 1 second for everybody we lost this year. Right now it's about 185,000. Okay, but it made me think about how much life would be simpler if we could go on even longer fasts, right? The longest I've done is still less than 72 hours. But it made me think about what life could be like if fasting for a week, 2 weeks, a month, or maybe a year, or maybe even longer were feasible, right? I'll let you pause the video before I talk about it, but I think there are quite a few benefits, mostly social benefits. I think my mobility would increase a whole lot if I could regularly fast a week. Let me explain. So I have dietary restrictions. And obviously, in a lot of other places around the world, as we saw in 2020, food might not be safe, right? Especially if you grew up in the Western world, your immune system might not be able to deal with food in a lot of other countries, right? But if I could fast a week or 2 weeks, I could travel to those places and not have to worry about packing food or sanitizing my food or cooking the food in a certain way. I could put that aside, and I could actually focus on my other objectives for that trip, right? Imagine I write computer games, right? Imagine I had a conference in Wuhan or in Africa, and I didn't know where I could find suitable food. I would have to worry about that. Okay, so that's the benefit of fasting a week or 2 weeks. Imagine one day I wanted to travel to the moon or to Mars. I'm a little bit surprised that the Apollo missions, they didn't do any sort of intermittent fasting. You would think that would save a lot of hassle for going to the moon, right? The round trip takes about 7 days. I think intermittent fasting for 7 days has a number of benefits, right? Especially when you're dealing with people who are very healthy to begin with, who could actually handle it. I'm surprised the concept didn't come up. You would think that would save a lot of expense for that trip. Going to Mars and back today takes about 2 years. That might be not possible at the moment. But then we're probably thinking about growing food on Mars anyhow, right? Or at least on board the spacecraft, right? Okay, now I'll let you think about what other, aside from space travel, what other benefits fasting for a year has. If I could fast a year and eat just once a year, I would probably save all of my food for when I travel, especially if I travel to somewhere with food that is healthier or safer or less expensive, right? Especially when I go see my family in Taiwan or when I travel to Eastern Europe, right? I could save a lot of money and have a lot more variety in my food if I could eat that way, right? Well, we can't really eat once a month or once a year, but even once a day has its own benefits, right? You could dedicate your time to food. Right now I'm an adjunct professor for University of Washington. I'm doing all the teaching through Zoom, and I regularly see people who are just trying to juggle so many things at one time, right? A few of my students have children already, single parents especially, and you got screaming children in the background, and then they're trying to shove down their dinner at my class, right? See, I don't have that problem anymore because I eat once a day. I literally dedicate that time to eating and nothing else, right? And it's allowed me to get more out of my food, right? See, a big problem for why some people tend to overeat is that they're not getting everything out of their food, right? I think we need to pay attention to all 5 of our senses while we're eating, right? Look at your food and marvel at the art of the food, right? Feel the texture in your mouth, right? Smell the food, right? Don't be so distracted that you're not even smelling your food. Or some people put on so many fragrances on their body or air fresheners that they can't even smell their food anymore, right? I think that's a big contributor to overeating, right? Listen to the sound of your food, right? And then taste it, right? But a lot of people only enjoy taste, right? I think that's a big problem with why people overeat. You know, when they're in they're not even tasting sometimes, right? They're eating with zero of their senses when they try to squeeze a meal into the classroom time, right? Anyway, so I thought, well, I'll try to push it to maybe once a month eventually. Then I could enjoy all the other benefits that I talked about. Especially, I do want to go to the moon someday, and I think that would really simplify the trip, right? Thanks for watching.